Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Hugh Freeze, the Auburn Tigers, slated to start spring practice next week. And I want to take a deep dive into probably the biggest question mark we have heading into spring practice. And that is the quarterback battle that we're going to see play out. And I look at this Auburn quarterback room, and I heard a lot of Auburn Tiger fans banging the table for Hugh Freeze to go out and land a transfer quarterback. And I didn't necessarily disagree with that argument. But what excites me the most about this quarterback room, this is exactly how you want a quarterback room constructed. You have a guy in Payton Thorne that has played a ton of football, has showed that he can win games at the SEC level. Is he the guy that gives this Auburn Tigers offense the highest upside? No, absolutely not. But he gives you a high floor. And then you sprinkle in some guys like Hank Brown and Walker White that give you a ton of that upside. That's how you want this quarterback room, this quarterback battle to shake out. You have your guy that you know you can win football games with in 2024, especially going into year two in this Auburn offense. But you have guys nipping at his heels that give a ton of upside to this Auburn Tigers offense. And if one of those guys wins out, Hank Brown, Walker White, if you're an Auburn Tiger fan, you know they won that battle. You know they're going to win a lot of football games for this Auburn Tigers program in 2024. Want to get into the players in this quarterback room, talk a little bit about the pros and cons for each one of these, and then give you guys my prediction of who's winning this quarterback battle heading into the 2024 season. Really excited to get into it. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys and a massive shout out to the Auburn Tiger fans. This is a program y'all know I love talking about. Since Hugh Freeze has taken over this program, we've been covering them on the recruiting trail, covering them in the transfer portal. I've had a blast. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, the best part about doing this is learning from you guys, talking ball with you guys in the comment section. Would love to hear your thoughts on this quarterback position, your prediction of the quarterback one heading into the 2024 season. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with Payton Thorne. I think the pros that you have is Payton Thorne going into year two, has played a ton of football, a quarterback that you trust heading into the 2024 season. And one thing that I think excites you about not only Payton Thorne, but the quarterback room in general is you got two tailwinds that are really going to help this Auburn offense in 2024, one of which is Hugh Freeze going out and hiring DJ Durkin to coach this defense. Essentially, I think just giving the keys to the defense to DJ Durkin, Hugh Freeze is going to have his fingerprints all over this Auburn offense. And I think just by Hugh Freeze being more focused on this offense, the play calling is going to be better. The scheme is going to be better. It's going to help the quarterbacks in the offense heading into 2024. And then secondly, the skill around the quarterback has massively increased. You take a look at the numbers last year. Rivaldo Fairweather was the leader in targets, receptions, and yards for the Auburn Tigers in 2023. Now, that's not a knock on Rivaldo Fairweather. The long-term listeners know how much of a stud I think Rivaldo Fairweather is. I think it's more of a knock on the wide receivers around the quarterback last year. When you have your tight end being the centerpiece of your passing attack, that probably tells you a little bit about the wide receivers around the quarterback not being good enough. I think you go into 2024, I think Jay Fair, Caleb Burton, two young players that you saw flashes for. I think you see them take steps in 2024. You obviously add guys like Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, Malcolm Simmons. You add a guy like Robert Lewis in the portal. This wide receiver room is drastically in a better spot than it was in 2023. So I think there's a chance that Payton Thorne is your quarterback one and looks a lot better just based on Hugh Freeze calling the plays and more talent being around him. The knock on Payton Thorne is really struggles down the field. You go back and watch the film from this Auburn team, really not much threat to hit that deep ball, to hit the explosive play, to push the ball down the field. And what did you see on the film? You saw a lot of defenses really come down into the box and beg quarterbacks like Payton Thorne to push the ball down the field, which they really couldn't do. That hurt the run game. That hurt what wide receivers could do after the catch. Having a guy like Cam Coleman being injected in this offense, a threat to push the ball down the field, I think helps, but you didn't really see Payton Thorne push the ball down the field effective enough to really let this Auburn Tigers team kind of be explosive on offense. So I think Payton Thorne is a guy that you can win games with. I don't think you're going to win an SEC championship with quarterback like Payton Thorne. Now, the next guy I want to talk about, and I'll just get it out of the way right now. If you ask me right now who is going to be quarterback one for the Auburn Tigers in 2024, I'm going with quarterback Hank Brown. I think Hank Brown is an absolute stud. And what really stands out to me about Hank Brown is, first, Hugh Freeze loves him, right? Hugh Freeze recruited him at Liberty. When he took the job at Auburn, got Hank Brown to follow him to Auburn. That tells me that Hugh Freeze was a heck of a lot higher on Hank Brown than a lot of the recruiting services. And I think a lot of Auburn Tiger fans probably wrote Hank Brown off because he wasn't very highly recruited out of high school. Hank Brown comes into that Maryland game. I've watched that film a couple times now. And yes, the deep ball to Caleb Burton was beautiful. He was 7 of 9 for 132 yards. What stood out to me the most is Hank Brown, as a true freshman who'd played 0 meaningful snaps heading into that Maryland game, came in and ran the offense extremely confidently. He was in control of the offense. He was going through his progressions. He was delivering accurate balls that were on time, allowing wide receivers to extend after the catch. Hank Brown has the physical traits, right? 6'4", a big arm. What stood out to me the most was it is rare to see true freshmen come in and look as in command of an offense that Hank Brown did. That's why I think Hank Brown is going to be the starter. This is a guy that has the arm talent that is special, but more importantly, is a guy that looks so comfortable running that Auburn offense. I think Hank Brown is probably, going into spring practice, Payton Thorne, by being the incumbent starter, is probably starting off as quarterback one. If you're asking me who's starting at quarterback for Auburn in 2024, I'm going with Hank Brown. Now, another guy I want to talk about, and the Auburn Tiger fans who've been listening to the boys for a while know how excited I am about quarterback Walker White. True freshman, again, rare for true freshmen to come in, start right away. Walker White, I think, is the most talented quarterback in this Auburn Tigers quarterback room. And you talk about what he brings to the table. I see the Josh Allen comps. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. I don't necessarily disagree with the Josh Allen comps. You're talking about a very big, strong-arm quarterback that can extend plays, deliver contact to guys that are trying to tackle him. There's a lot of things to like about Walker White. The arm talent, the ceiling of this Auburn Tigers offense with Walker White as your starter is probably the highest ceiling out of all 4 of the quarterbacks in this battle. Now, the question with Walker White is, can you be more consistent with your accuracy? Can you come in day one and go through your reads, go through your progressions, grasp the playbook? That is the stuff that you need to see Walker White get done. You saw him struggle with his accuracy a little bit at the high school level. I view Walker White as the future of this Auburn Tigers program. You guys know that. I don't necessarily see him coming in and being the immediate quarterback one. But for Auburn Tiger fans, if you hear that Walker White is named quarterback one heading into 2024, you know he's ready because he beat out guys like Hank Brown and Payton Thorne. But more importantly, the ceiling for this Auburn Tigers offense is going to be extremely special. Now, the last guy I want to talk about, Holden Garner. I don't know about I think a lot of Auburn Tiger fans feel this way. I've read the message boards. I've read the opinions. I like Holden Garner. I liked him when he committed to Auburn out of high school. He's just a couple things. One, not Hugh Freeze's guy, right? He was there before Hugh Freeze got there, and a guy that you haven't really seen the development take place. He's going into year 3 right now. It sounds like Hank Brown probably passed him up on the depth chart. Hank Brown certainly looked better as a quarterback running this offense than Holden Garner. He's another name that's going to be competing for this job, but a name that I wouldn't be surprised hits the transfer portal after spring practice. And if he does, obviously wish him the best at his next stop, but I think that means Walker White probably passed him up too. And I think you talk about the future of this Auburn Tigers offense. I'm looking at Hank Brown and Walker White, 2 really young quarterbacks with a ton of talent, probably being the future. And I don't know if I see Holden Garner really in that picture of the future of this Auburn Tigers offense. But if he proves me wrong, again, another guy that has the talent to be a very good quarterback for Auburn. To kind of put a bow on this, and again, we will follow this as spring practice plays out. I'm going to be tuned into the spring practice notes, hearing who's getting the reps at quarterback one. What does that depth chart look like? I really like this quarterback room. And again, going back to the conversation of Hugh Freeze not going out and getting a transfer portal guy, I think that's because he wants to pour in to Hank Brown and Walker White. If you bring in a transfer quarterback, you're limiting the reps that Hank Brown, Walker White are going to be getting in practice. I think Hugh Freeze looked at this quarterback room and said, I know we can win games with Payton Thorne in 2024. I want to make sure that Hank Brown, Walker White are getting the reps that they need, because you talk about Auburn doing big things in 2025 and in 2026. It's going to be with a quarterback like Hank Brown or Walker White. Really excited to see how this plays out. Again, Hank Brown is the guy that I am keeping my eyes on in terms of being that quarterback one. We'll continue to cover this as spring practice rolls around. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.